Okay. We are holding today's Daf Mem. We're going to start from the Mishnah of Daf Lamed Tes, Omid Beis. Le'ilu Nishmas Nachman ben Chaim. Noam fixed his father, Olav Hashalom.
If you came last night, there was pizza.
Yes. Today there is schnapps. Well, that's a bottle from the States you got there.
This he brought back to the States?
Says the Mishnah. We're waiting for that whole side. What's going on here? We can't start when that whole side is empty. It's a good thing we started late. Yeah. Hashoichet l'shem harim. Somebody shechs an animal for Avodah Zarah for the mountains. And the Gemara is going to go into, could you shecht Avodah Zarah for a mountain? That was a whole sugi in Avodah Zarah, but over here we're going to be discussing other things. L'shem gvois, l'shem yamim, l'shem naharois, l'shem midbarois, shchitasei psula. Says the Mishnah that there's no isser hana, there's a isser on the animal. That's it. But it's not a zivchei mesim, it's not a real full-fledged Avodah Zarah. Shnayim oichzim besakin, b'shoichatin. You guys remember this Mishnah? Shnayim oichzim besakin, b'shoichatin. Why? Because I mentioned something about And Rashi says that even in a case where they're both holding the same knife, certainly if they're holding two different knives. Echad l'shem echad mikol eilu. One of the two people had in mind for a mountain, for a river. And the other guy was 100% kosher, because one of the two created a situation of psul with Avodah Zarah intent. Says the Gemara, psula in zivchei mesim loy. The Mishnah says psula, it's not zivchei mesim. Zivchei mesim would mean that it's osur bahana. It's not osur bahana. Ask the Gemara very meaning. Hashoichet l'shum harim, l'shum gvois, that's our Mishnah, right? L'shum midbaris, l'shum chama, ulevana, for the sun, the moon, l'shum koichavim u'mazalois, l'shum michal asar gadol. Michal asar gadol, the biggest creation in the Bria. L'shum shilshul katan, not what you guys think, but it's referring to a worm, which is the smallest creation. Harei elu zivchei mesim, or a very small creation. Harei elu zivchei mesim. But it says mefurish over here in the Braisa that it's considered zivchei mesim. It is the Shalom should have an aliyah. Chaim. It says mefurish in the Braisa that it is zivchei mesim, not pasul. Big, huge difference. Our Mishnah says pasul, that it's not osur bahana, and over here it says mefurish, it's osur bahana. So what do? Omar bayolei kashi. Hod omar lahar. One is talking about a mountain itself, and the other is talking about the malach of the mountain. What's the difference? As we learned in Avodah Zarah, it says in the pasuk, Eloheihem al harim v'lo yaharim, meaning the getchka is on top of the mountain, and that's Avodah Zarah. Meaning you have to have Avodah Zarah on top of the mountain, but not the mountain itself. The mountain itself cannot become Avodah Zarah. So therefore, in our Mishnah, he had intent for the mountain itself. A mountain itself cannot become Avodah Zarah, but nevertheless, the animal becomes pasul. But over here where it says that Zivchei Mesim, he didn't do it for the mountain, he did it for the malach of the mountain. The malach of the mountain is true Avodah Zarah. Why? Because there's no pasuk. The pasuk says something that's immobile, like a mountain, is not Avodah Zarah. But the malach of the mountain is. Since it says Michal Sar Gadol, so that's enough. Meaning it's something that's movable. It's not stationary like a mountain. Now it's kedai to see this Rashi here. Dumi the Michal says Rashi Deloy Mechuberu. Michal, by the way, is not considered Mechuber. Now, as a general rule, a live animal cannot become osur as Avodah Zarah. Like we say in Tmura, Midas Rachmana never like Gavoya, only for the Beis Hamikdash it's osur, Michlal the Hedit Shari, Miu Elohus Mikru. So it says Rashi that L'maisa at the end of the day you could call it a god, it's named a god. You're right, it's not Avodah Zarah, but it has a name. As he brings Psukim, Kedachsiv, Hey Nizbach es Toyavas Mitzrayim, look, Mitzrayim was considered a te'eva, and then it says, Verisas Hashemes v'seyireach v'zekechavim v'chol tzva hashomayim, and then it says over there, V'nidachta v'shtachavisa v'avatam. You could, how do you worship a star? How do you worship the moon? Elomai, you called it that. Obviously, you didn't make a kinyan in it, and you didn't do anything, you didn't change anything. Nevertheless, it's some sort of isser, says Rashi. Fine. Says the Gemara, now. With the what?
The worm.
Yeah.
Because one of the most widespread observers was serpent worship. And that would represent, this is like the smallest of the serpents.
It is?
Yeah,
A worm is part of a serpent?
Well, anything that looks like a serpent. A dragon, that was all.
Smallest of the small.
Serpent.
It probably has like 3 books on it somewhere. Right? Sure. Yeah. Says the Gemara. Now, Omer Ravuna, and this is today's sugya right here. Says Ravuna, Hoysa behemas chaveiroi revutza lefnei avodah zara. Every word here is important. You have an animal that's his friends, that's laying down in front of avodah zara. Kivin sheshachad bo siman echad asara. If you shecht one siman, says Rashi, it doesn't mean one siman, it means just nicking it, starting off, because one siman is nothing in an animal. It's either 1 3/4 or nothing. So one siman means starting the shechita, as long as you nick it. Now what's the problem here? How could I go to my friend's animal and make it into avodah zara, right? I can't go over it and say, hey, you animal, you avodah zara. That for sure I can't do. But if I do a maisa in the animal, says Rabbuna, even the smallest maisa, a kolshu, then it becomes avodah zara. And that's what the Gemara takes issue with. The Gemara is not happy with this kolshu business. A kolshu, mamish a nick, it would seem like you need a lot more than a nick. Now Rashi brings down here, as we learned in avodah zara, just like you cannot make a mountain into avodah zara, but the Gemara in avodah zara says that if I dig into the mountain, I change the mountain, then I could make the mountain to avodah zara. So the same thing by an animal. I cannot make an animal avodah zara, my friends, but if I do a mice in the animal, like the Gemara over there talks about pouring wine between the horns, I did an action with the animal itself, then I make it into avodah zara, I make it mine, and I make it avodah zara. So again, what does Ravuna say? Again, so over here there's a chiddush. Rashi says revutza, meaning we had this a little bit before, and I mentioned the Ravid. The Gemara says, how do you shecht an animal? We had it like a week ago. You have to lift the animal up and put it down. Why do you have to lift the animal up? And what if it's a huge animal? Because the point is, when an animal is laying on the ground, the way they rest on the ground, not laying, rest on the ground, you can't shecht it like that. So you have to flip it over. How do you flip an animal over? If it's already on the ground with its feet like underneath it, how are you going to shecht it? You want the neck upside down and it's sitting like this. You get it to stand up. So if it's a big animal, picking up an animal doesn't mean to lift it up. You can't lift a 1,000-pound cow. So what do? You give it a little jolt or something and it stands up. Then you knock it down where the neck is upside down. That's what it means, higbia. Akopanim in our sugya, revutza would mean that's already in a position for shechita, whereas if it was not in a position and you lifted up this goat that you could lift up, then you'd be kind of bekinyan hagba. You stole the animal and then it would be yours. Says the Gemara, it's not yours at all. Why is it not yours at all? You didn't make any kinyan. The only thing you did here is shecht it. And that, says the Gemara, says Ravuna, even if you shecht a little bit, that makes it avodah zara yours. Says the Gemara, Savar lo ki hada omar ula. Key word over here for this sugya, ula. He says like ula, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Aval pisha Omer Mishtachah v'lebehemes chaveroi lo asara. Even though we say that typically if you bow down to your friend's animal, you cannot have any power over that animal. It's not yours. You can't create avodah zara in something that's not yours. Also b'maisa asara. But if you took action in the animal, you slit its throat, then it does become avodah zara.
What's the difference? In other words, if we can't be oyster of something,
because then it becomes yours. Then you stole it. I'm saying you made a like anything else. Like if you lift it up, you understand that it's yours. So if you shecht it, you do. I'm not saying that you made a kinyan. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying you took action in the animal. Now you created something that's yours.
You don't have to pay for it.
You don't have to pay for the animal, of course. You made avodah zarah. You're gonna have to pay. Here comes the big question. Frekter Nachman, it says, how do I get a situation? I'm looking for a case where a person can be chayiv 3 chatois. How? Hashoichet chatos b'Shabbos. He didn't realize it's Shabbos. He shechted a chatos. And this also is a huge word, chatos. It's not referring to any carbon in the world. It's not referring to shlomim. Dafka a chatos. I shecht a chatos on Shabbos, bachutz. This animal is designated as a carbon, but I grabbed him, I pulled him outside of the Beis HaMikdash. So that alone is Issa D'Oraisa. I shechted a chatos outside of the Beis HaMikdash, I'm over on 1. It happens to be Shabbos, I'm over on 2. And I performed L'Avodah Zarah. I thought in my mind, I'm shechting L'Avodah Zarah, chayiv sholosh chatois. Very good. Now, just as a side note, Tosfos asks a kasha, bam kasha. How in the world could I shecht a chatos on Shabbos? On Shabbos they don't accept it anyways. So how could I add Shabbos to the bachutz? How could I add chutz to Shabbos? And says Tosfos, no, there is no chutz. It's not. You can't do it today. There's no carbon on Shabbos. It's not a. There's no.
You didn't ask that Zorah, you didn't ask it twice.
But it's not a day that I could perform the avodah. So today it's not it's off day. That's what Tosfos says. Tosfos says, but nevertheless, if I did bring my carbon in the Beis HaMikdash, if I was over, then they would do zrika, they would be mekabel. So yeah, it's a big, it's interesting Tosfos. Ayin Shom. It happened together. It is a chatos. The guy designated as a chatos yesterday. So I'm having a chatos.
So is Moya.
What?
He did Meila.
Yeah.
He didn't bring the chatas at the end.
No, he didn't bring a chatos. We're not saying they was over chatos. We're saying they did chutz. He shechted a chatos. Physically, he shechted a chatos outside of Beis HaMikdash. It wasn't a chatos. It wasn't yoytz a chatos. No way, because it's outside of Beis HaMikdash.
According to the Tosfos, he doesn't even have one. Not even one.
No, it is. Tosfos says at the end because Tosfos says because if I force myself into the Beis HaMikdash and all the Kohanim scream, don't bring that at Shabbos, you can't bring a chatos, and I shechted inside the Beis HaMikdash, I would be yoytz. Says the Gemara. Okay, so but the bottom line is, I have a case where I have 3 isurim going on in one. We're talking about b'shoigeg. I didn't realize it's avodah zarah. Yeah.
In that case, if they were screaming at him not to shecht it and he shecht it anyways, he wouldn't be.
I don't know that it was yoytza, but you continue. Look at Tosfos over here. It's 3 lines from the bottom. The kivanim zara kurza. Yeah, you are yoytza. Tosfos says kurza. Fine. Says the Gemara. Now the Gemara has a bam kasha. Ravuna, you say that you're over an avodah zarah as soon as you start the shechita. The first part of the shechita, if I stop right away, I just nicked the kana, that's enough for avodah zarah. So if so, and that's basically the kasha here, what happened? Let's take it in slow motion. The guy starts shechting the animal, and the animal becomes avodah zarah when? By the first nick. So once it becomes avodah zarah, it's no longer a chatos. Chatos only happens at a much later stage. When I get through the simanim.
You shouldn't be chayiv on shchut.
I shouldn't be chayiv on shchut chutz. On Shabbos I'll be chayiv.
Why?
On Shabbos I'll be chayiv because even a little bit, this is what killed it. The beginning killed it. But on shchut chutz, right, the Gemara, turn the page, and shchut chutz lo chayiv. Why? Mechatech b'afarhu. He wasn't cutting a chatos because once this animal becomes avodah zarah, it cannot be a chatos and avodah zarah at the same time. When does it become avodah zarah according to Ravuna? B'kol shehu. Bishleim, if you say you have to get to the end of the second siman, so then all happens at the same time. But according to Ravuna, avodah zarah happens right away. Omer Rav Papa, hocha b'chatos ha'oif askinon. Oh, the reason why he said a story about a chatos is because we're talking about a chatos oif. There's 2 birds you can bring in Beis HaMikdash. A oila bird and a chatos bird. What's the difference? A chatos bird only needs 1 siman. So memela, you only have to cut 1 siman. Oila, you have to cut 2. So since we're talking about a chatos oif, and he cut 1 siman, So now I have all three things coming together. As I cut the first siman, I'm over Shabbos, Avodah Zarah, and Chutz. Ask the Gemara Davi's question, but I don't even need a full siman. All I need is a mashu, a nick. And again, I have the same problem. Once he started the shechita, before I even got to the first siman, I am already chayiv. You hear? Says the Gemara, all three came together. You said that the whole sugya goes according to Ula, the key word. V'ula ma'isa called ukamar, and Ula says as long as there's a ma'isa, even a mashu, even the beginning of the siman. So again, I didn't gain anything by saying that it's talking about a bird. Elo, says the Gemara, you're right. It's not talking about a bird. It's talking about a behema. It's talking about a very specific case. How do I get three isurim together? When a person says, I want to do avodah zarah, but I don't want the avodah zarah to be chal, only at the last second. So now, at the last second, I have a shechita b'chutz, I have a Isser Shabbos, and I have avodah zarah. Because yes, avodah zarah, according to Rav Huna, starts all the way in the beginning. But not if you push it off. Not if you say mefurish. I don't want it to happen in the beginning. I want it to happen all the way at the end. So that's what happened there.
Go back to the behema. We don't need to.
Yeah, we're talking about a behema now. That's what I started off. Elo bebe. It's talking about a behema, not oiv. Now, fraging Gemara, yihachi ma'ir yochatos l'shmi'inon zevach. Oh. So basically, there's four very small steps. Just an excuse to make a little chart. We're talking about, I don't know why, where's Gary? My 1, 2, 3, 4, it came up automatically bigger and bigger. I don't know how it goes. It's very interesting. I don't want it like that, but that's what happened. What's the shayla? The Gemara says it's talking about Gemara Voida, that he had in mind that it's going to be all the way at the end of the Shechita. As the Gemara, if it's Gemara Voida, then there's no difference between a Chatas and a Shlamim. What's the difference for us? What's the difference between a Chatas and a Shlamim? Chatas he doesn't own. Who owns the Chatas? The Kohanim own it. Shlamim he owns. Now if he owns the Shlamim, and you're talking about that it's all the way at the end, so have a much bigger Chiddush to say that it's talking about Shlamim than to talk about Chatas. Why does he even mention the word Chatas? He just say Zevach, and I would know it's talking about Shlamim, and I would have a bigger Chiddush. That even by Shlamim, even though he owns it, and typically when you own something, you just have to nick it to make it into Avodah Zarah. You don't have to do a real big Maisa. But over here, since he said, I want to wait until the end of the Avodah Zarah, until the end of the Shechita, then he has to make a huge Maisa. So that would be a bigger Chiddush than saying Chatas. The point is, why does the Brisa say a case and a Chatas? There's no need for Chatas here. Any Korban, if you think that it's going to happen all the way at the end, then even a Shlamim, it would happen all the way at the end. Elamai is Davka Chatas. And why do we say Chatas? And here's a big Nikuda. Why do you say Chatas? Chatas means I need a big job, I need a Maisa Gadol, I have to go all the way to the end of the Shechita. So I have to go all the way to the end of the Shechita. So if I have to go all the way to the Shechita, then it's Shver, number 4. Because Rav Huna says you don't have to go to the end of the Shechita. All you need is a Kol Shu. Again, if we're talking about Gemara Avoda, so then why do you need a Chatas? Any Karban. Elamai, because it says Chatas, because Chatas means a huge action. I have to go all the way to the end of the Shechita by Chatas. I have to do 2 Simanim by Chatas. Why do I need 2 Simanim by Chatas? Because Kol Shu is not enough. Rav Huna says Kol Shu is enough. It says before in the Brisa Chatas to tell me that Kol Shu is not enough. I need, what?
Lots of behemoths that need 2 simanim. What do you mean?
No, but the difference of Chatas means that he doesn't own it. Chatas means he doesn't own it, not 2 simanim. He doesn't own it. So if he doesn't own it, I have to do a real mice in the animal. I can't go over to my friend's animal and pet it and say, oh, I just created Avodah Zarah. In your own animal, maybe yes, the closest thing to petting, meaning give it a little nick. But since the Chatos he doesn't own, the Kohanim own it, so he has to do a major Avodah. So then why does Rav Huna say Kol Shu works? Says the Gemara, Elo, Omar Mazuz Mishmedi Rapapa. No, now we're going back, Reuven, we're going back to a bird. Omar Mazuz Mishmedi Rapapa, we're talking about a Chatos Oif. We're talking about the famous situation where the kana was already halfway done, 50% cut. 50% cut doesn't create a treifa, and it's not shachut. What does the guy have to do? He has to bring it to 51% through shchita. All he has to do is cut 1% of the kana, and that creates a kosher animal. Memela, that's what Rav Huna said. Even if he cut a mashahu, a 1% of the kana, now I have all three things together. I created avodah zarah with the mashu, I created a chil Shabbos with the mashu, and I created chutz with the mashu, and that's the case. So that's the maskonas sugya really in that brisa. That's how we understand the brisa. The brisa. How do I have a situation where a guy is chayiv 3 chatois in one shot? When he cuts the kana that was already cut 50%, he cuts it a mashu, and you have all three things: avodah zarah, chutz, and Shabbos, all b'im ke'achad. Only by chatas ha'oif. Why? Because chatas ha'oif only needs one siman. If it was the oilas ha'oif, I would need two simanim. And there's no such thing as having a pre-cut kana by something that needs two simanim, because by that time it would be treif. So the only time I have a situation where I have a pre-cut kana and it's not treif is by an animal that only needs one siman, which a bird which only needs one siman, and that's a chatas ha'oif. Omer Papa. And now the Gemara just basically repeats itself and just make it a little more complicated. Ilav the Omer Avuna Simin Echad. If Ravuna wouldn't have said the word Simin Echad, meaning a kolshu, then he wouldn't have been so messed up, so to speak. It wouldn't have been such a big kasha. Lehav Chatas Yuvda. It wouldn't be such a kasha from the chatas. My Maisa Rabba. When the Brisa says that a person can be over on 3 chatos when he brings a chatos, he shechs a chatos. Yeah, you need a chatos. You need to do a very big maisa. You have to cut it completely. But from the fact that Ravuna said that you don't have to cut it completely, that's where we have a steer between him and the brisa. If he wouldn't have mentioned a case of this friend's animal, in other words, then I wouldn't have any kasha. I wouldn't have to bring this whole teretz of a chatzikon of a chulu. My time, then he could answer his own thing with a mashu. It makes a lot of sense. But because he said his friend, now his friend is not good enough to do a maisa kol shu. You have to do a real maisa. Ooh, we're not providing those cups, are we? No. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara Pshita. Obviously, if you're answering your friend's animal, you're going to need a serious maisa. What's Rapapa coming to say? Since you're right, it's the kohanim, but he bought it to get a kapara, so maybe it should be considered like his. And since it's like his, even a small maisa is enough. Kamash Malon, since it's a chatos, and yes, he paid for it. Too bad that he paid for it. It's considered 100% the kohanim, and you need a real big maisa, meaning you have to cut a lot, not just a little bit. Says the Gemara.
1% is not enough.
No, so if it was a cut, in the 1% is really 100% because it's already 50% before. Yeah.
No, it's
Rav Nachman. Yeah, Lilin Nishmas Rav Nachman ben Chaim. Rav Nachman Rav Yisrael Gamri. Ein Adam Oyser Dava Shein Shaloi. So here comes and completely mechulik on Ravuna and everything we learned up until now. A person has zero right whatsoever to answer something that doesn't belong to him. It doesn't matter how much he shechted. Even if he shechted a lot. Meisvei. So the Gemara has a kasha from what we just learned. Person shechted chatas on Shabbos. Outside for Avodah Zarah is chayv 3. And we said what was the case? Only in a bird chatos where it was already pre-cut 50%, and he added a little bit. Time of the chatas soifu. The only reason it works is because it was a bird. The kulu everything happens in one shot. Once I cut that mashu, it's all chal. Aval zevach loy, but an animal not. Rashi explains why is an animal called a zevach? Because you shechted with a knife versus a bird that you do malika to. Akopanim, it says that an animal not. Now, if a person doesn't answer something that doesn't belong to him, so what's the difference? Now wait a minute. If a person doesn't ask for something that's not his, so then how do you have 3 Isurim? How are you over on a Avodah Zarah anyways? On a bird. It's not yours. How can you be over on Avodah Zarah? So that Rashi explains that the he's going to be chayiv. He didn't create Avodah Zarah in this animal, but he's over on Avodah Zarah, like we had yesterday in the Mishnah with, who was it? Oh no, we had yesterday on Lamed Tes Amud Aleph that Rish Lakish says that you're allowed to eat the animal, but he's chayiv misa, says Tosfos. You have a situation where something is mutter. I created Avodah Zarah, the animal's mutter, but because I did Avodah Zarah, I'm chayiv misa. Says the Gemara. So over here, he didn't create any Avodah Zarah. You can't ask for somebody else's animal. But I did Avodah Zarah. Just like I don't ask for the moon to anybody else, but I worship the moon. I'm chayiv misa for worshiping the moon. So over here also, I worship somebody else's animal. I did 0 to the animal because it's not mine. I have no right to do something to the animal. But I'm chayiv misa. So if I'm chayiv misa, so if I do b'shoigeg, I'm chayiv achatos, and I'm chayiv achatos for Shabbos, and I'm chayiv for chutz. Frek the Gemara, but it's not his animal, and I didn't do anything to the animal. So then, what's the difference between a bird? You're saying it's talking about a bird. Why bird? Even a large animal, since anyways you didn't do anything to the animal. So we're not talking about shchita and roiv simanim, half simanim. The problem is that he worshipped the animal. So what's the nafkamina if he worshipped a bird or a behema? It would be the same exact halacha. Says Gemara, kivin the kanyele kaparo kidei damyo. You want to leave now? Fine.
No, you said you're doing till the Mishnah, no?
Fine. Zog the Gemara. Toshma. Shnai moizim misagim v'shechatin. Echad l'shum echad mikolelu. One of them shechted for the mountains, for the rivers. V'echad l'shum dover kosher. Even, it seems like, that the entire animal is owned by this guy, by the second guy, that's the kosher guy. He has no bad intent. Nevertheless, the guy that's doing a non-kosher intent, avodah zarah intent, can passel the animal. So what do we see? Shchitas b'sula, even though he doesn't own it, adam oiser davar sheina shaloi. You have to talk. You have to say according to this shita that he's a shutuf. That's why he's able to answer. Toshma, hamitame v'amidame v'aminaseich. These are all cases of hezek sheni nicker. I go over to my friend's bread, I touch it, and you can't even see it microscopically, but halachically, I'm tamei. His bread just became tamei. Nothing happened to the bread. No scientist could see that I did something to the bread. Male hezek sheni nicker. So what's the halacha? B'shoigig is potter. B'meizid chayiv is a knas. Now, a person cannot be oiser davar sheina shaloi. Hachanami, this lay shutvos bigavo. From here on, we're going to have a star, like a cheer, from Menachem Mata, with a lot of hands-on pictures. We're starting an unbelievable parak. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here for that. Elu Trefois, famous.